I'm Kerri. Um, I wanted to tell my story even though I'm a little sick and I didn't know if I should share my germs. But I wanted to tell my story anyway about travel because I think it's a good one. Um, so my story starts in 1994. I was 22 and I was living in Boulder, Colorado. Can you see? Oh, yeah, that's good. And I was waiting on, I had applied to Peace Corps in 93, so I'm waiting for the letter. And I'd gone through like a bunch of stuff I was anemic and blah, blah, blah. I had to get all these mental health clearances, blah, yada, yada. So I'm waiting. And then one day I get the letter in this 8 by 11 manila envelope, but it's super, super thin. And I open it and it says, congratulations, you got into Peace Corps and you're going to, and I'm looking at the thing and I'm like, literally, I was like, where the fuck is that? I never, ever, ever heard of it. Um, I didn't know where it was. But it's not like, mostly, it's not like I'm super dumb or anything. I didn't know where it was because it was a new country, basically. It was part of Russia. So it was Kazakhstan, but I literally had no idea what it was. So um, I think the first person I called must have been my parents. And I got my dad on the phone, and he calls me Carrot. And I still remember he was like, I said, I'm going to, I didn't know, I think I called it Kazakhstan. I didn't know how to say it. And my dad said, well, where the hell's that, Carrot? And my mom was like, oh, sounds dangerous or something like that. So I was like, I can guess. I said, I think it's probably the Middle East or something. So I actually trucked off with my boyfriend to Kmart and looked at a 1994 World Atlas. And I was close. Hey, I'm doing a video. I was really close. It's a little west of Mongolia, west of China, a little north of Afghanistan. And then there were all these other countries, like I think I'd heard of them, but back in 94, we thought of Russia as mostly Russia. So there was Kyrgyzstan, I learned how to say it, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Azerbaijan. So that was the first funny part. I had no idea. So then zoom forward, I'm at JFK airport and I'm getting on the plane with, Emmett wants to know what I'm doing. I'm just recording a story because I don't feel well and I want to tell my story anyway. So I'm on the plane with I guess there's 32 of us going over. So the story is about not knowing a language and things that can happen. So I did not know Russian at all. In fact, I knew Spanish. That was my minor in college. And so I totally thought I was going to like Ecuador, Costa Rica or something. And in fact, my mom was like, after I told her where I was going to go, once I accepted, she's like, dude, I thought you were going to go to Costa Rica or something. I could visit you. I said, well, you can still visit me in Kazakhstan, Mom. She's like, no, thanks. But anyway, I'm on the plane and talking to all the other people. I'm 22. There was a bunch of people in their 20s and some older people. Come to find out, like one or two people out of the whole group knew Russian. One guy was like studied Russian in college, so we're like, okay, you're lucky. But the girl next to me, I'm talking to her, and I realized we know like two words. I knew da and yet. That's it. So I just was like, okay, whatever, I'm up for the challenge. So we land in the country. We land in the capital, which is Almaty. It's not anymore, but it was then. That was the capital. And people didn't speak much English there, and not many Americans had been there because, the Soviet Union had just fallen apart a year or two earlier. And we were like the second group to go over there with Peace Corps. So basically, we were gonna get thrown in there and not know the language. So the plan was to live with a family for 3 months. So I got there at like end of May. So I was going to be there till like August. And then I was going to get placed in a school to teach. So I remember meeting my family, which was hilarious because this was the height of grunge. It was 94. I took it to an extreme level with super baggy clothes, huge t-shirts. And I actually still remember what I was wearing when I met my host family. I had on huge overalls. They were like 3 sizes too big. And then I had on a huge t-shirt, and it was from a Breeders concert, which I had seen. So it said the Breeders, and it's not at all how women dressed there. They were dressed like Mad Men, like in the 50s. So I show up and I meet my house mom. Her name is Klava. and she meets me, and she's dressed seriously like straight out of Mad Men, like full on heels and the nice house dress. And okay, so fast forward, we go to the house. I have no idea what's going on. They feed me, and you can do a lot with just like gesturing. Um, I'm taught a few words. I have a really good dictionary. I have a really good Russian English dictionary. Thank goodness that goes both ways. So she can look up a word, be like for tomato, and I can be like, oh, okay, tomato. So she's feeding me food, and they like to drink. So vodka and stuff. We're becoming fast friends. So the so we landed there on like a Friday, I think, and we just met our families. And we went off for the weekend, and then we would have to come for our first Russian lesson Peace Corps training on Monday. So I had like these 3 nights, and they just basically, the Peace Corps people were like, good luck, you're gonna be fine. Do your best. We'll see you Monday, whatever. So when we get back Monday, they of course want to hear stories and stuff. But first, okay, so this is what happened to me in my first weekend in Kazakhstan, and it still boggles my brain, and it's pretty awesome. But Klava was probably in her 40s, maybe early 40s, late 30s, early 40s, maybe. I was 22. She didn't know a lick of English, and I knew da and yet, literally. I think I learned spasiba by that, or whatever, thank you and stuff, by the end of that day or something. I just realized I have my Looney Dog t-shirt on. So she comes in with a robe, and she like points to, I must have had a robe, she points to my robe, and I'm like, okay. And we did a lot of pointing. I could just figure out what she wanted that way. So, and she must have opened her robe and showed me that she just like had underwear on or something. I was like, oh, okay, maybe she wants to show me something with bathing or the shower there or whatever. And she walks out of the room. So I kind of put on the same thing. I'm like, all right. And then she, come on. But she didn't say come on. She's like, eti suda. And so I go and I'm walking and we go outside. And I'm like, where the hell are we going? I thought maybe we were going to a Russian bath because like people bathe in Russian baths there. Like women get together and whatever, like a sauna type thing. But no, it's dark. It's maybe like 5 or 6 p.m. or something. No, it's later. Maybe it's like 6 or 7. It's night. It's getting to be nighttime in summer. And she goes out and we're in the square. So like I'm in a communist type like cement building. There's a bunch of buildings and there's like a square. And there's some other people out there, some babushkas out there doing stuff, and people out there like would be cleaning things and doing stuff. And she just goes off to this little space by the building, and she kind of does like a chant in Russian, and says a few things, and drops her robe, so she's in her underwear. Oh, I forgot. And she has 2 buckets of water, and she takes this bucket of water after she's done this chant and dumps it over her head. Kind of like the ice bucket challenge, right? And I was like, okay. And she looks at me, and I'm like, all right, whatever. So I do the same thing. I don't remember if people were looking. It was cold water, icy water. Put back our back robe, we go back inside. And then she has me comb over, and she sits me down, and she gets my dictionary, and she starts looking up stuff in Russian and pointing the words, and she points to health, which I think is starovaya. I don't even remember Russian too well, but starovaya. And then she points to the Russian word for snake, which I'm like, what the fuck? And then something else, whatever. So I still have no clue what's going on. I think one of her kids is kind of laughing at me. Like, I don't know, like kind of it's a joke, but not really. But anyway, we do it every night. We do it every Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. And Monday, we show up back at the Peace Corps office for our like training. And then they were like, so how'd your weekend go? What happened? Everybody tells stories. People are telling their stories like, oh, I ate, caviar, or we did a lot of vodka shots, or, all these kind of stereotypical, but things that really happened. And then I'm like, I have an interesting story. And we had a couple of Kazakh and Russian women, maybe men too, I can't remember, that were bilingual. So they were kind of like translators, like people from Kazakhstan. So I tell my story, and one of them just starts cracking up. And I couldn't figure out, what was going on, because she's talking to her counterpart in Russian really fast. And then they're trying to translate it. So come to find out, my house mom was part of this well, I hate to call it a cult maybe, but just like a religious movement in Russia. I had to look it up actually. It was called the Dvorkin Atanyenko therapy, which includes going out at night, every night, your whole life, no matter what the weather, snow, all the time, and pouring water over yourself after prayers. Found out what the snakes was about. That's like you're supposed to imagine all your bad things that happen during the day, and then you pour the water. That's supposed to send all the bad like energy to the ground, and then the snakes are supposed to carry it away. So it's kind of biblical, kind of a little bit. And then, come to find out, another big part of the this health movement was urine therapy, which I found out later in the summer when she tried to get me to drink my own urine, which I did try, and it was gross. But the I guess the story was the whole end of the story really is just that I ended up loving this tradition, not the urine part, the water part. And I actually did it all summer with her. Once in a while, her daughter would join us. She was like 18 or 19. And then I ended up doing it, teaching a bunch of other Peace Corps volunteers to do it. I ended up, when I got put in my town, which was like 5 or 6 hours from the capital, I would do it there. And then I started seeing other people doing it. I'm like, oh, okay. So I went and kind of did everywhere. And then I did it, I wouldn't say every night, but I did it a lot over the 2 years. And then when I came back to America in 96, I kept doing it. It's really actually fun. I don't know, it feels really good. And then when I moved to Santa Cruz, I was doing it there for a while. And to end the story, one of the reasons I knew Carl was going to be my man was because he totally agreed to do Russian cult health water dumps with me over the head at night in California. And I think he thought it was a little nutty, but anyway, that's my story. And thank you. Bye.